Question 706. Which of the following would most likely appear as a credit in the seller's settlement statement? A. Prepaid taxes for the property. B. Tax lien on the property. C. Unpaid taxes on the property. D. Loan balance on the property. Correct answer is A. Prepaid taxes for the property. A credit on the seller's settlement statement means money is coming to the seller. If the seller has already paid property taxes for a period that extends beyond the closing date, they are entitled to a reimbursement for the portion of the taxes that cover the buyer's ownership period. This reimbursement would appear as a credit to the seller. A tax lien is an encumbrance on the property due to unpaid taxes. To provide clear title to the buyer, this lien would likely need to be paid off from the seller's proceeds, appearing as a debit. Any unpaid property taxes up to the closing date are typically the seller's responsibility. These would be deducted from the seller's proceeds at closing, appearing as a debit. If the seller has an existing mortgage on the property, the outstanding balance will need to be paid off at closing from their proceeds, appearing as a debit. Therefore, prepaid taxes are the most likely item to result in a credit to the seller on the settlement statement. Question 707. A title insurance company can insure the following: A. Lack of capacity to transfer title. B. Defective delivery of title. C. Whether the tenant's lease interest is free from encumbrances. D. All of the above. Correct answer is D. All of the above. A title insurance company can insure against various risks that could affect the ownership or marketability of a property's title. These risks typically relate to issues that existed in the public records before the policy was issued and were not discovered during the title search. Some common examples of what title insurance can insure include: A. Defects in the title. This can include errors or omissions in deeds, mistakes in examining public records, forgeries, undisclosed heirs, and other issues that could cloud the ownership. B. Defective delivery of a deed. If the deed transferring the property was not properly delivered and accepted, the transfer might be invalid. C. Tenant's lease interest. While standard owners' policies focus on the fee simple interest, specific leasehold title insurance can protect a tenant's rights under a lease against encumbrances or defects affecting the landlord's title. 4. Liens and encumbrances. This covers financial claims against the property, such as unpaid mortgages, tax liens, judgments, and easements that were not properly disclosed. 5. Lack of legal right of access. If the property lacks a legal right to access a public road, title insurance can provide coverage for losses resulting from this issue. 6. Lack of capacity of a grantor. As you mentioned earlier, if a previous owner lacked the legal capacity to transfer the property, e.g., due to minority or mental incompetence, the title could be challenged. It's important to note that title insurance policies have specific terms, conditions, and exclusions, so the exact coverage will depend on the specific policy. Therefore, a title insurance company can provide coverage for all the scenarios listed, although the specific coverage for a tenant's lease interest might require a specialized policy or extended coverage. Question 708. The horizontal piece supporting wall studs, to which the studs are nailed, is termed the A. Floor joist. B. Sole plate. C. Subflooring. D. Crossbar. Correct answer is B. Sole plate. The horizontal piece supporting wall studs, to which the studs are nailed, is termed the sole plate. Sole plate, also called a sill plate or bottom plate, is the bottom horizontal member of a wall frame. It rests on the subfloor or foundation and provides a nailing surface for the bottom ends of the wall studs. It also serves as the foundation for the wall structure, distributing the weight of the wall to the underlying support system, foundation or floor joist. Floor joists are horizontal structural members that support the floor and are typically located below the subflooring, not directly supporting wall studs. Subflooring is the structural sheathing that is attached to the floor joists and provides a surface for the finished flooring. The sole plate rests on the subflooring, or foundation. While crossbar is a general term for a horizontal piece. It's not the specific term used for the bottom horizontal member of a wall frame supporting studs. In framing, horizontal members between studs are often called fire blocks or blocking, serving a different purpose. Therefore, the sole plate is the correct term for the horizontal piece supporting and nailed to the bottom of wall studs. Question 709. The rectangular survey system is also called the A. U.S. Government Survey, B. Meets and Bounds, C. U.S. Section and Township System, D. Both A and C. Correct answer is D. Both A and C. The U.S. Section and Township System, also known as the Public Land Survey System, PLSS, is a method of surveying and dividing land in the United States. It divides land into rectangular grids of townships and sections, primarily used in areas west of the Appalachian Mountains. Here's a breakdown. Townships. A township is a square with sides of approximately 6 miles, covering 36 square miles. Sections. Each township is divided into 36 sections, each approximately 1 square mile, 640 acres. Range. The north-south lines that define the townships are called range lines. Township lines. The east-west lines that define the townships are called township lines. Principal meridians and baselines. The entire system is based on a grid of reference lines, including principal meridians, north-south lines, and baselines, east-west lines. Section numbering. Sections within a township are numbered starting from the northeast corner and moving west, then south, then east, then north. Subdivision. Sections can be further subdivided into quarter sections, 160 acres, quarter sections, 40 acres, and even smaller lots. Question 710. Sophie, a college student looking to buy her first car, contracts with Danny to purchase his 1998 Yugo for $3,000. Upon walking to where the car is parked to transfer ownership, they see that the car has been completely vandalized. Its body dented, windshield smashed, wheels slashed. Sophie extends her sympathies to Danny, but tells him, under the circumstances, she will not be completing the transaction to buy the car. If Danny sues Sophie for not honoring their agreement, Sophie will probably A. Win, because both Sophie and Danny were mistaken regarding the damage done to the car. B. Lose, because Danny is not at fault that his car was damaged. C. Win, because it is Danny's fault that his car was damaged. D. Lose, because if Sophie had done a final check of the car before agreeing to buy it, she would have discovered the damage done by vandalism. Correct answer is A. Win, because both Sophie and Danny were mistaken regarding the damage done to the car. This situation likely involves the legal concept of mutual mistake of fact. For a contract to be valid, there must be a meeting of the minds on the essential terms and the subject matter of the agreement. In this case, both Sophie and Danny entered into the contract believing the car was in a certain condition, undamaged and transferable. The subsequent vandalism fundamentally altered the condition of the subject matter of the contract, the 1998 Yugo. This wasn't a pre-existing condition known to either party at the time of the agreement. Because both parties were mistaken about the car's condition at the point of transfer, the contract may be voidable. Fault is not the primary issue in a mutual mistake of fact scenario. The key is that the subject matter of the contract was substantially different than what both parties believed it to be. There's no indication that Danny was at fault for the vandalism. If the damage was due to Danny's negligence, the outcome might be different, but the scenario doesn't suggest this. The scenario implies the damage was discovered during the attempt to transfer ownership, suggesting it happened after the initial agreement. Even if Sophie hadn't done a final check immediately upon agreeing, the fundamental issue of mutual mistake about the car's condition at the time of transfer remains. The point of transfer is a key moment for the condition of the goods in a sales contract. Therefore, the most likely outcome is that Sophie would win the lawsuit based on the doctrine of mutual mistake of fact. As the car's condition was materially different from what both parties believed when they entered into the contract. Question 711. When advertising a listed property for sale, a broker is prohibited from A. Creating the false impression that the broker is the property owner, B. Providing the property's listed price in the ad, C. Not providing the exact street address, D. Not providing the amount of financing needed to acquire the property. Correct answer is A. Creating the false impression that the broker is the property owner. Creating the false impression that the broker is the property owner. This is a serious violation of advertising ethics and regulations. Brokers must clearly identify themselves as agents representing the seller. Misleading potential buyers into thinking they are dealing directly with the owner can be deceptive and unethical. Providing the listed price is common and generally encouraged as it gives potential buyers essential information. While providing the address is helpful, it's not always mandatory in initial advertising. Brokers might choose to provide a general location or neighborhood to generate inquiries before giving the specific address. However, withholding the address entirely could be seen as hindering access to information in some cases. Advertising the full financing details is not typically a requirement. Ads often focus on the property's features and price. Question 712. Paul and Arthur are joint tenants in a property. The two have an argument and Paul changes the locks on the gates to the estate, so that Arthur cannot enter. Arthur can A. Sue Paul for wrongful ejectment, B. Physically attack Paul and claim the right of self-defense because his property interest was threatened. C. Sue Paul for his fair share of the rent value for the time that Arthur was kept off the property, D. Both A and C. Correct answer is D. Both A and C. In California, as joint tenants, Paul and Arthur have an equal right to possess the entire property. By changing the locks and preventing Arthur from entering, Paul has likely committed a wrongful ejectment or ouster. Therefore, Arthur can sue Paul for wrongful ejectment to regain access to the property. Additionally, because Paul is exclusively occupying the property and denying Arthur his right to use it, Arthur can also sue Paul for his fair share of the rent value for the time that Arthur was kept off the property. This is based on the principle that a co-tenant who ousts another must account for the rental value of the ousted tenant's share. Physically attacking Paul would be illegal and would not be considered self-defense in this property dispute. Thus, the most accurate answer is D. Both A and C. Question 713. Generally, escrow companies base their prorations on a year consisting of A. 355 days, B. 360 days, C. 365 days, D. 366 days. Correct answer is B. 360 days. This is often referred to as a banker's year or a statutory year, where each month is considered to have 30 days for calculation purposes. This simplifies the daily proration calculation. While a calendar year has 365 days, or 366 in a leap year, the 360-day year is a common convention in real estate transactions and finance for these types of calculations. Question 714. A typical seller representation agreement authorizes the listing agent to do all of the following, except A. Place a for sale sign on the property, B. List the property on a multiple listing service, MLS, C. Open an escrow account in the owner's name, D. Accept on the owner's behalf a good faith deposit from a prospective buyer. Correct answer is C. Open an escrow account in the owner's name. The opening of an escrow account is generally contingent upon the existence of a fully executed purchase contract between the buyer and the seller. The listing agent's primary role under the seller representation agreement is to market the property and facilitate the negotiation of this contract. The sequence of events typically is: 1. Listing agreement. Seller hires a listing agent. 2. Marketing. Agent markets the property. 3. Offer. Buyer submits an offer, often with a good faith deposit held by the agent. 4. Acceptance. Seller accepts the offer, creating a fully executed purchase contract. 5. Escrow opened. Once the executed contract and the buyer's initial deposit are received by the escrow company, the escrow process officially begins. Therefore, the listing agent, acting solely under the seller representation agreement, does not have the authority to independently open an escrow account in the owner's name before a purchase agreement is in place. Question 715. A married couple originally from the Middle East come to broker Betty's office San Diego and tell her they are interested in viewing potential homes to buy in the Rancho Gardens neighborhood. Even though the broker has several listings in that area, Betty, for no other reason than their national origin, tells the couple that nothing is available in Rancho Gardens. Betty has committed the illegal practice of A. Blockbusting, B. Antitrust, C. Steering, D. False advertising. Correct answer is C. Steering. Blockbusting involves inducing panic selling in a neighborhood by suggesting that minority individuals are moving in, leading to a decline in property values. Betty isn't trying to scare existing residents into selling. Antitrust laws relate to preventing monopolies and promoting competition in business. Betty's actions, while discriminatory, don't fall under antitrust violations. While Betty is misrepresenting the availability of homes in Rancho Gardens, the primary illegal act is the discriminatory steering based on national origin, not the false information itself. The false information is a tool used to carry out the steering. Steering is the illegal practice of guiding prospective homebuyers toward or away from certain neighborhoods based on their race, religion, national origin, family status, or disability. In this scenario, Betty is discouraging the couple from viewing homes in Rancho Gardens solely because of their Middle Eastern national origin.